Welcome to a very special episode of the Legal Mastermind podcast. Today, Ryan Klein and myself, Chase Williams, will be walking through the new Google local service ads. And as a special, I guess, something different than what we usually do is we're actually going to have a YouTube link that will have a screen share of exactly what we're going to be reviewing. How's it going, Ryan?
It's going well. Today is a special day because technically this is the first video podcast that we've ever done. And the reason that we're doing it is because, just like Chase mentioned, we are talking about Google's very new, in most situations, local service ads. And we're going to be talking about it, doing a walkthrough, and it is fairly visual. We're going to try to be as descriptive and thorough as possible for those that are going to be listening without the video. But if you can certainly jump on the video aspect, see how we're going along this. We are doing a screen share technically to do a hypothetical or a test run. So anyone that follows can successfully start it up on their own.
And you said this is new. So this, I know new was June 30th. So it's been about a week, and you personally have run through a handful, 5 or 6 clients with getting this approval and process set up.
Yeah, I'd say at least then, there's other people on our team, of course, that are doing this on behalf of clients and a handful of non-clients. So yeah, we're kind of getting that base together that are in the, I guess, approval process. Hopefully it doesn't take that long. We're trying to get to market as quickly as possible because a lot of those clients, a lot of those law firms are going to reap the benefits. So I believe before we get started, I said that it is new for most people. So Google's been testing this product, I think, for over a year. I see a lot of articles when I was doing some research dating back to 2019 and even a couple 2018. Maybe it was speculation. Maybe they were anticipating this product being rolled out, but it was really only a few test markets. And it was really for, I believe, real estate lawyers, estate planning lawyers, immigration. That's really about it. And then in your hometown of Austin, it was very popular. We've been using Austin estate planning lawyers as an example for a lot of people. But now we're going to go through this process. You'll see firsthand. If you're if you're not able to join us on video, I'll be as descriptive as possible. But we're going to mention all the geographies and all the practice areas that are currently eligible for local service ads.
So I guess I'll be interviewing you today, Ryan.
What exactly? Sure.
What exactly is a Google local service ad?
So it is a new position essentially in Google that's above traditional Google ads that will display lawyers that are what are called Google screened or go through a separate approval process. And it will feature 3 lawyers for the respective geography and practice area. And it's a paid position. Google has a little bit of information so far. This is very new. They're changing things every single day. But the information about how to achieve that position is going to be somewhat of a hybrid between paying for it, bidding system, hopefully not exactly the same as Google Ads, because this isn't Google Ads where whoever pays the most gets the first position, but it will also benefit you to have more reviews. Is supposed to contribute to that position, proximity to the searcher, and also how responsive you are for any of the leads that you are receiving. And I'll do a quick search. Again, anyone that is currently viewing this can see this. So if I use my Austin estate planning attorney, and you can see at the top these 3 positions. Chase, you able to see that right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. So, these 3 at top, and it's followed by 2 ads, followed by Google Maps, followed by our list of organic results. So that's what the LSAs, local service ads, are going to be.
I like that acronym.
LSA. Reminds me of, what is another one that's SEO related? Isn't like latent semantic? Oh, LSI. Yeah, that's an acronym that gets thrown around content wise, but let's not get too far off.
Let's get started.
So what we're going to do is get started. Anyone that's watching this, you can either do a traditional search in your search bar for Google local service ads or services ads. You'll come to a page. The URL here is ads.google.com/local-services-ads. And so it'll say get started. In this case today, we are going to make up a law firm. It's going to be, let's just say Klein and Williams. Yeah, if we ever in another life were lawyers, I suppose that's what our firm would have been, or Williams and Klein or Klein and Williams. What do you like more?
You could be Klein and Williams. That's fine.
Lead it up. PA, PLLC. Okay, cool. So let's pick a random geography. Our office is let's just say we're in downtown Orlando. I think that we like defaulting to that. So that's a good old 32801. Florida, job category. So what it'll be is there'll be a category for lawyer, and then from there you can see that there's lots of different practice areas. So the current practice areas, and raise your hand if you hear it, but I'll read it out: bankruptcy, criminal, estate, IP, malpractice, tax, business, disability, family, labor, personal injury, traffic, contract, DUI, immigration, litigation, real estate. So they really do cover quite a few. You don't see your bankruptcy. I believe that's a bigger one that stands out to me personally. Pardon me. But, a lot are here. And it's interesting to see, too, that there are business categories. So as business, B2B is not something that you see as much in these kinds of programs.
Definitely an opportunity for a traffic lawyer here too, because that's broken out and you really don't see that many places.
No, and that's a good point. A lot of times traffic falls under criminal, just like DUI falls under criminal. So it's interesting to see how Google so far, as if we're recording this August 6th, and like I mentioned, this does change practically on a daily basis. That traffic is broken out from criminal, same with DUI. But if you do click on criminal, as we'll see in a little while, they kind of still do fall under criminal as well. So we'll see how that crossover works out. So I've never clicked on all of them. I don't know if it's going to overload it. Hopefully it doesn't. But I want to give our listeners and I want to give our viewers opportunity to see what the subcategories are going to be under each of these. So hopefully we don't overdo it. We'll find out in a moment. So right now we're selecting everything. Every category I just mentioned is being selected. So now once we're at the next screen, business details, all right? So we mentioned we're going to do, you know what? I'm just going to do, it just has a better ring,
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So the funny thing about this actually is that website is optional, meaning that Google doesn't really necessarily want to encourage people clicking through to your website. I think that they want to keep everything on the page kind of together, because you can see here, once these ads roll out, it doesn't really matter to them if they click through the website. They probably don't want to necessarily even encourage it. Everything is all here. So you see, it's almost like not an afterthought, but it's certainly not front and center. Everything is all really included or housed on this one landing page they create for the ad. So, business phone, they'll call my cell. I won't worry you with too many of the free consultations, Chase. And then, and no parent business, no website for now. And then as far as the owner's name, I'll just put me. You'll have an opportunity to include additional professionals. You can see here that there'll be situations where if you click through, it'll actually show the other people that work for your law firm. These particular ads don't show it, but there are instances of other law firms that start to include other attorneys that work there, and it should be featured around here. So let's just say this. And one thing that I've been discussing with the team and some other people is the year founded. So let's say you're a lawyer and you've been practicing for 25 years and you just started a new law firm that was technically founded last year. Would it really be fair for you to say that you were founded 1 year ago? Because what will happen is you'll go back to these ads and it'll say that you're 1 year in business, which is like maybe not the best look for you, considering if you're a seasoned, very experienced lawyer and you're going up against someone that is 10 here and then 25 here. Is it really fair for you to say your law firm was founded a year ago if you've been practicing for decades? So let you use your discretion, but I'd prefer to say that I've been around for 25 years.
Pretty impressive.
Nice work. So yeah, right now we're going through the business details. It'll ask for your business name, business phone, the owner's name, how many professionals you include, year founded. We speak English here. If you also have someone on your team that speaks Spanish, you can click through to Spanish. After that, it'll say enter your home address or the address of where you do business. So you do say you have a storefront. It decided to include my old location in Orlando. That's fine. It's a home address, but this is also a fictitious law firm, so that's fine. All right, so we click through, and the next thing that it'll do is it will present to you your service area. So what we're looking at here is a map of pretty much the city limits of the city of Orlando. And then from here, this is basically what Google's saying, this is where your ads will show up. So right now it covers all of Orlando, but if you click on an arrow, click down, it'll actually break it down by zip code. So if there are areas in particular that you don't want your ads to be shown, you can click off by zip code. You can zoom in and kind of move around and pretty much select the areas that you don't want to show your ads. And then on the other side, if you actually do have an office maybe next to it, Winter Park, you can include that. And then from there, you can also add or remove zip codes. So, this is, it's a good way to be able to pretty much hone in on the specific areas of your geography that you want to have these ads in. Does that look good to you, Chase? You want to?
Yeah, let's do it.
All there? Okay. So once you move through there, this is where it gets a little interesting. So it did include every single practice area I claim that Williams and Klein will be taken care of. We're very versatile. We pretty much cover any practice area right now. So from here, you're able to see how it breaks it down. So for bankruptcy, you can select all, but there are a lot of subcategories here. Oftentimes, a lot of times, I'm not even familiar with some of these. So a bankruptcy lawyer, you do have your typical Chapter 7, Chapter 13 bankruptcies, and you have a Chapter 11. But also in here, I'm seeing agriculture bankruptcy, foreclosure, creditor harassment, which for some of our clients actually falls under consumer instead of bankruptcy. So that's when this gets kind of interesting. And I think that it has to do with Google not knowing exactly what falls under every practice area, what every single law firm does, because under bankruptcy, you see debt settlement, you see wage garnishment. Wage garnishment might be an employment-related kind of issue. Debt settlement might be for a consumer or a lawyer that only specifically deals with debt settlement or debt repair or anything to do with credit. So it's kind of doing like a catch-all or an umbrella under not always the most appropriate categories. So I think that lawyers should be a little bit aware when proceeding with this process, that what they do might not always fall under what they would say they do, if that makes sense.
And is it safe to assume that there's a direct correlation to spend with the specific service area selected along with the geographic regions?
I've been messing around with it, personally trying all sorts of different scenarios where I selected all subcategories. I said to display the ads 24 hours a day instead of 9 to 5, selecting all zip codes instead of some zip codes. And right now, when we get to the end, it's going to show what a suggested budget should be. And so far, it hasn't had a direct correlation yet. Which it should have. I mean, logically speaking, with all their other products, it's basically saying the more visibility I potentially will have, the more I have to pay for it. But right now, I'm not seeing a direct adjustment being provided in real time.
It's interesting because if it's anything like AdWords, it's a live auction. So if no one's up yet, and it's actually essentially if no one's bidding on these spots, maybe that's the reason that it's not calculating correctly.
And that's a great point. It just might not be available in real time. There might not be enough data. It's just one of those things that's going to have to play out, especially as Google develops it more. More people enter these markets, and they have to make adjustments, based off the criteria for who's going to be in the top 3 spot and who isn't. So for now, you're going to want to pick categories and just kind of see what subcategories are available. So we did bankruptcy, and already we see foreclosure, repossession, wage garnishment, debt settlement, might be under another category. So business lawyer, we're seeing banking and finance, employment law, which you'd think employment law would just be employment law. Insurance law would just be insurance law, mergers and acquisitions, patents, copyrights, trademarks. You would think that would fall under IP law, but here it is under business law. So it's important to kind of go through, see the categories, and see what opportunities present themselves in each category. Contract law, it has its own thing. Criminal, we mentioned that before. It includes DUIs and reckless driving, which DUIs has its own category. So everything kind of has its own little nuances right now. So we're going through, we see what's for disability lawyer. We're seeing a lot of SSA, DUI lawyer gets into DUI with accident and DUI with injury. Those are very specific categories. It's hard to kind of conceptualize too what kind of keywords people are going to be searching for these to show up, because how often do people type in something along the lines of, I was in a DUI with an injury. It's either personal injury sometimes or it's DUI. It's not typically both. So it's hard to kind of see how this is going to play out. State lawyer is talking about probate, estate planning, deeds, guardianship, power of attorney, trusts. There's a lot of these categories. You'll see a subcategory called other. I don't even want to know what that's going to be. Let's just Google filling in the gaps however they see fit, and I wouldn't trust clicking on that. Charitable giving. So anyway, I would encourage any lawyers when they're going through this process to really see how this is all broken down. So let's just say that we're a traffic lawyer for now. How about that?
Sure. And you can always go back to, once you select to kind of see what's available, you can always go back and unselect.
Yeah, of course. This is only to really set it up, but at the end, when this is all done, you're going to have your own dashboard, and you're going to be able to adjust your service areas and your budget from there too. So this is not set in stone. This is only to get things rolling. And then again, in traffic lawyer, which is hilarious, it says DUI again. So it says DUI in traffic, it says DUI under DUI, and it says DUI under criminal. So that just kind of goes to show pretty much how this works right now.
Cool.
After that, business hours. I think that this should definitely align with what you do for your Google My Business. So if you're standard 9 to 5, it automatically defaults to that, which is funny. And then from there, it's pretty straightforward. So after that, we really get to actually do a preview of your ad. So this is what we look like so far. Pretty official. That 25 years in business, serves Orlando. I actually selected Winter Park too, but it doesn't say Winter Park as well. So we're going to have a chance to take that silhouette and upload an actual image. And then really the next part is what they consider the onboarding. And what you'll need handy is a headshot for your ad, your license, so active bar membership information. So for Florida, first name, last name, license number, and expiration date. So whatever is standard in your state. There will be a background check. It is free, and it'll be through a company or entity called Pinkerton. And this is what really takes the most amount of time. So it's funny that they actually mention now this process could take up to 3 weeks. Just a week ago, it said that this process could take anywhere between 2 and 3 days. So that's how much it's changing on a day-to-day basis. Customer reviews can be linked to your Google My Business. So instead of having to generate reviews specifically for this campaign, you can link to an existing campaign, because I know we talk with lawyers that have 100 or 200 reviews, which will look fantastic, especially when they're up against other people that have maybe 10 or 20, and they don't want to start all over again with another campaign. So you don't have to. And of course, everyone's most pressing question, how much does it cost? So you can see here already what they're kind of proposing. And that's pretty expensive for most people with the marketing budget. I believe I only selected traffic, right? Maybe I selected a couple other things. It's already suggesting that this campaign for traffic in Orlando spend $1,200 per week, and they're targeting that you'll receive 13 leads. So really, that's pretty close to $100 per lead for traffic. And that's actually a little bit on the more pricey side.
What's customized to? Oh, so you can. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so it's a sliding scale. So on the low end, if I said I only have the bare minimum to get started, it's already suggesting $450 per week, which is $2,000 a month, almost. So that's not particularly cheap. And then on the high end, it's saying you can spend up to $4,800 per week on traffic advertising. That's pretty hefty. So they're still figuring this stuff out. It's not supposed to be a very expensive campaign compared to other things. It does work on a cost per lead basis, so you only get charged. You're supposed to only get charged when you get a lead, and Google is going to be tracking that. But it's going to be interesting to see really what the cost per lead ends up being, because it's already changed a lot since I was started looking at this a lot last week.
Do you think they calculate that lead when you actually click on the ad, or when they're well, let's say like you click on the ad but you don't call? Is that considered a lead?
It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be if they message you, email, or call. It's supposed to be the actual contact
Gotcha.
to be the lead. And they're going to have, to an extent, some sort of screening process, especially if it's a message or it's an email where they can see the content or the details of the lead. And if it's really far off base, I think that they're going to have some sort of quality assurance so you can potentially get money, a refund or not be charged for the lead. If they see it and they see they don't have a legal issue, they're just asking a question, or they've already retained legal representation, or they actually aren't in your geography, they should all be grounds for not paying for the lead. But it's a new product, it's a new frontier, and it's that Google's really doing a lot to make this happen. They're actually outsourcing a lot of their customer support, as we know so far. So there's a lot that's going to go into this.
And so from start to finish right now, what would be your estimate as far as how long this would actually take for approval?
The reps that I've talked to so far, what takes the longest is not the license. They actually were asking for malpractice insurance last week, and I think that they already cut it out, which is pretty interesting. Maybe they were finding out that most lawyers, I believe, aren't required to have malpractice insurance, contrary to what they may have thought. But what really takes the longest is this background check. It said 2 to 3 days initially. They probably got overwhelmed with the amount of people that are submitting their applications or verification for this program. Then now it says 3 weeks. And then the representative that I spoke to move it along for our own clients, he said that the background check could take anywhere between 2 and 5 weeks. So the approval process timeline is basically all over the place. That's really where I have to leave that at.
And something like this, just we kind of know from experience with Google, is as more and more people start utilizing the specific platform, it's going to get way more expensive. So
right.
Our recommendation is to jump on this.
Yeah, and that's where we've been at, and that's what we've been attempting to do. When I confirmed this with the Google rep that was helping to organize our clients' onboarding, I basically, said flat out, are we in the right mindset to just be doing this as quickly as possible? And he said, absolutely. Like the quicker you are able to do this and get approved, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are going to jump on board. Of course, there's no way that it's not going to contribute to increased costs for doing this, but there are going to be benefits without a doubt to just moving the process along as quickly as possible.
And in the grand scheme of things, this is going to eat into a lot of people that are the success of a lot of campaigns that are doing pretty well from an AdWords standpoint.
Yeah. There's just a lot of benefits to participating in this right now. So,
cool.
So yeah, once you do this, you do get a dashboard. So I'm kind of clicking this hamburger menu on the left, and then from there, this is what leads will look like. It'll feed into an area where you can see new, active, booked, completed, archive. This is how Google is going to kind of keep tabs on really how they're going to charge you. Essentially, there's going to be some sort of reporting. So you can see like leads charged. There's a section called budget spent, appointments booked from leads charged. There's going to be it's all blank right now, but that's kind of going to be the grounds for that. And then there is an area called profile and budget. And then from there, that's where you're going to see how you can make adjustments. So it's showing you your basically dashboard, shows your business hours. You can adjust at any time. Some people are going to benefit from having a call center or availability after hours, 24 hours on weekends. Of course, that's going to affect visibility and being able to get leads. The service areas can always be adjusted. There's an area called photos, which frankly, I'm not sure where that's going to feed into yet. This is all new. Message leads, it says message leads are off. To let customers also contact you by message and email, turn them on, probably will be encouraged. All the job types we talked about, says right now that there's 217 because I basically selected every single potential practice area. So with subcategories, we're looking at 217 quote unquote job types. Here's where we see the budget is already different from what we saw before. Now we see a bidding mode, max per lead. So you can already see maximize leads, recommended, or set max per lead. So you can basically tell Google, I want to spend no more than $100 per lead. Who knows how that'll play out. And then all the rest of additional information along with your approval process and where you're at. So I think that's really it for now.
Awesome. Well, if anybody has any questions, I know that I'd say like you're probably one of the true experts in this because you were on top of it the day it came out and you've worked directly with Google.
I suppose you could say that. That's if you can be an expert on something in 10 hours, maybe this is one of those things.
I thought you had to actually spend, 1,000 hours or something to be an expert, something ridiculous like that. But
10,000. But
10,000.
Yeah, but it all falls under.
You have some work to do.
Marketing. I can't imagine doing this for 10,000 hours. I don't think that's necessary. But I think that we're aware. Right now, we're very much aware of what it takes to be approved, like what the timeline is and pretty much how to set it up. And when people start getting it approved, we're definitely going to move on to best practices, doing experimentation and making adjustments, really seeing what you have to do to, get really at the end of the day, like anything else we do, get the most bang for your buck. That's what the goal is going to be once our clients start getting approved.